All right. Good morning, everybody. What's going on? I hope you guys are doing well, and we are ready to get it on and popping. I hope you guys are doing okay. Shout out the name of the city that you're from. I always like to see what cities you guys are coming from. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I am your friendly neighborhood finance professor, and my goal is to make sure that you are successful, to make sure that you are making money, to make sure that you are doing well, and if I achieve that goal, then I can have a good day today. Anyway, let's just talk about what's going on with Bitcoin and crypto and everything else. And also I'll start by greeting a few of you really quick because we're gonna get it cracking, I promise. But I have to say hello to Sean and Imani and Daria Webb and John Fosu out of Scranton. Scranton, that's where that paper company is for that movie, or that show, The Office. Scranton, unfortunately, Scranton always seemed like the most boring place in the world to live, but maybe you can prove me wrong. Let's jump in. So I want to talk. Let's start off with something that I think is relatable and interesting. You know how you often hear a lot of people that when they talk about the state of the black male in America, there's usually a doom and gloom story. It's usually very sad. It's usually woe is us. Black man can't get ahead. Black man can't do nothing. Black men can't do anything. Can't wipe our butts. Can't walk and chew gum at the same time. Can't do anything right. And I hate those stories, to be honest with you, because I don't think they're very empowering. So I'm going to tell you an empowering story about a black man who didn't go to college, didn't get a college degree or anything like that, but he actually got the right kind of education. He actually went to he went to investing instead of going to college. He actually learned how to invest, and he invested in not just crypto but a lot of things. And I'll tell you what, it really made a difference in his life. So basically, what happened was I was talking to him, and I said we were talking about Bitcoin. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you have been following Bitcoin and the meteoric rise of Bitcoin. Right now, Bitcoin is over. Last night, I think it popped $50,000 per coin. You don't have to spend $50,000 to buy Bitcoin, by the way. So don't think that you have to have 50 grand. So I know that they always want to give you a lot of excuses as to why you can't invest. Well, black people ain't got no money. Black people can't invest. You can't invest. Well, they want y'all to invest in some Popeyes chicken. They want y'all to invest in Air Jordans. They want y'all to invest in fast food and all kinds of other stuff. So if you can spend money on fast food, Air Jordans, or whatever, then why can't you put some of that money to you and to your family? It doesn't make any sense. But thank God we're getting past that narrative. It took a while to convince the world of that, but thank God we finally get it. 12 years ago, people didn't get it. 12 years ago, I was getting a lot of pushback. Well, anyway, so this brother, so check this out. This is really interesting. So what he told me was that he had done a project for somebody many years ago, about maybe 2012, and the guy paid him in Bitcoin. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, because Bitcoin was worth pretty much nothing back then. So it was like a really bad form of compensation. And so I said, well, how many Bitcoin did he give you? He said, oh, about 38. I said, 38? He said, yeah, because mind you, the number of Bitcoin I own is in the single digits. Okay. But believe me, it's a grip. It's worth a grip, but it's in the single digits. And I said, do you know how much, do you know what the price of Bitcoin is right now? He said, no. Well, what is it? I said, it's almost 50,000. It's about 42. It was at 42,000 at the time. And he said, well, that's nice. And I said, yeah, let's do the math. I said, that means you have about $1.6 million that you just don't even know about. And he was like, oh, cool. Right. Literally, that's how he said that. I swear to God, this is a 30-something-year-old black man, about 34, not making this up, true story. I put it on my grandma, about 34 years old, never went to college. But let me tell you what, this brother learned how to make some money. He learned how to make some money. And again, the narrative that you're fed is that the black man, if he doesn't go and give $200,000 to a big white university, that he can't survive, that he can't make it. He doesn't have a future and all these other things. And I'm not telling you not to go to college. Just mind you, I'm a college professor. I've been, teaching college students for a long time. I started teaching college in the 90s, right? So I've been teaching college students for a long time. So I'm a big fan of college. We're sending all of our kids to college. But just know that ain't the real education. That ain't really where you're going to learn how to be a millionaire. University professors cannot teach you how to be a millionaire. Um, that's something you learn on the streets, not so much like hood streets. Not just, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some hood lessons you can learn too, right? Like you talk about flipping birds and just making invest. I mean, pretty much if you want to actually know a lot about economics and marketing and distribution and all these other things, then yeah, go talk to some of the hood dudes. They'll break it down better than a college professor will in 9 times out of 10, especially the ones who've been able to successfully make street money, right? So I'm not in any way disparaging that particular methodology, but what I'm saying is that basically the way you learn how to really make big money and real money is not on a college campus. College campuses were designed to pretty much prepare you to be an employee. That's what they were designed to do. That's why they created universities, is because they said, well, gosh, we need more workers. We need our workers to be trained. So the corporations funded the universities. I went to go visit the Milwaukee School of Engineering recently. And the Milwaukee School of Engineering, I looked up the history of the school. Our 17-year-old is visiting different campuses. And every campus we go to, I read the whole history of the school because I love seeing how empires were built. I love seeing how empires are built. I'm a builder. I'm an empire builder. If you're an empire builder and you're in the chat, shout your name out. Just say builder here, or type the word builder, or type empire in the chat, because I'm into empire building. And I love hearing stories about how things started off small and became big. You know, like what's the origin of this multi-billion-dollar company? You know, how did it get started? Who was the first person to really believe in this thing? And the Milwaukee School of Engineering was started by a guy who actually immigrated from Germany. And what I saw was that this guy, that basically he created the Milwaukee School of Engineering because they needed engineers. Companies needed engineers. So he was like, oh, I can teach. And at that time, they were just teaching like basic electricity back in, this is like the turn of the century, like 1905. So they were teaching like electricity. Like electricity was like, back then, electricity was what the internet is now, right? So he was literally teaching night school classes on electricity. And that's how the Milwaukee School of Engineering began. And now literally I think the CEO or the one of the top people at that chip maker. I forgot the chip maker, NVIDIA. That he bought a big building on campus because he graduated from the school, and a big guy from Microsoft or Apple graduated from the school. So what I'm saying to you is that big things come from small places, right? You've probably seen that. If you've seen a baby come out of a woman's womb, which is one of the great miracles of all time. Shout out to Black women, because if it was up to us to have the babies, there would be the whole community would cease to exist, just so you know. So the Black woman's womb literally is the keys to the universe. It's the most valuable place in the universe. And so when the little warriors come out of the womb, they're so tiny, they're so fragile. My brother just had a baby with his wife, little tiny baby, right? But those babies get nurtured and they become big grown men. They become big, strong women, right? And capable women, and they, et cetera. And your business is the same way. Your investing is the same way. Your wealth is the same way. So let's circle back to my cousin. I gave it away. He was my cousin. I just didn't want to put my relatives on blast. But yeah, he's a cousin of mine. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say his name. But when I hit him and I said 1.6, you have $1.6 million in Bitcoin. And he was, and check this out. The thing that I want you to pay attention to is not just the fact that he had all this wealth, but the fact that he didn't even know about it. And that when I told him about it, all he said was, cool. He didn't say, he didn't jump out and say, oh my God, Lord Jesus, we done won the lottery. Oh, Lord, I'm licking the ground now. He didn't go crazy. He was like, oh, cool. You know why he did that? Well, because he knows how to make money. He's made millions before. Right? He's in his 30s. He's made millions, never went to college, but he got an education. Never went to college, but he got an education. So you need to know the difference between going to school and getting an education. Do you get what I'm saying? Give me a yes in the chat if you follow what I'm saying. That there's a difference between going to school and being educated. Education means that you have the skill set to do what you need to do. And the way you want to study education and think about how you want to be educated in general is you have to work backward. Like you got to think about like, okay, what is it that this is in mathematics? This is a technique called dynamic optimization, where you solve problems by starting at the end and working backward. Jeff Bezos uses this methodology or something similar too. He calls it regret minimization. That's how he lives his life. And I totally got it when he did it, because he's a math guy and so am I. So I kind of get him. But dynamic optimization says that you start at the end and you say, Okay, when I'm 30, 35, 40 years old, right? Some of y'all are young. So the question becomes, when I'm in my 30s and 40s and 50s, what's going to matter to me? What do I care about? What's going to be important to me? Right? So if somebody says, well, I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to spend all your time learning reading a book by Edgar Allan Poe and learning Shakespeare, like quoting Shakespeare. So then you got to ask yourself, how is it as a black man in America, where people are trying to kill me and annihilate me economically and spiritually and physically and otherwise, how is it that reciting Shakespeare is going to help me become successful? Now, it might help you in terms of giving you, grammatical skills and the ability to read and to process information, right? So it doesn't mean it's a waste of time, but the question becomes, this is important. Follow me, please. The question is, how does this, are there more important things on the menu than Shakespeare? Right? Doesn't mean Shakespeare can't be relevant and can't benefit you. Some of you went to theater class and all that. God bless you. But are there other things on the list that might be more important? And are we missing the important things because we're allowing ourselves to spend our times being taught the unimportant things? Like a lot of kids in the school systems in Chicago come out of school and can't read, get a high school diploma and everything, can't read. But they certainly know things like how to use the appropriate pronouns when you're talking about somebody's gender. Now, I don't know if I'm not saying that's not important. Sure, give them the right pronouns, but come on, black people. Seriously, let's have some common sense up in here. This is your children we're talking about, and they're miseducating your children. So the reason I started this conversation today, and I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna start answering your questions. If you're in the chat, if you give me a one, those of you that are in the Zoom, that are actually in the Zoom from the Black Business School, I'm gonna answer your questions first. But then those of you listening outside, I'll get to those questions as well. But I literally want you to kind of take a moment. Oh, first of all, put your question, make your questions like one sentence. Put your questions in the Q&A section. I'll answer them as quick as I can. But also, I want you to really kind of process what information you need to learn first in order to be successful. So this black man who didn't go to college, he spent his time learning the things he needed to actually know. He said, I'm a black man. I need to learn how to get some money. So he learned how to make money. So then at that point, that's why this guy's a millionaire. And a lot of college graduates I know are literally $100,000 in debt and are going to die in debt, by the way, many of them. The other point on that is that, this also shows you how investing kind of works. A lot of times when you're investing in a seminal industry like cryptocurrency, the patience is required. A lot of people start investing and they get it all wrong. They think the stock market is a casino where you get quick little flips and you could double your money in 2 weeks. People like that usually end up broke. They end up misguided. They end up coming to the wrong conclusions. They're kind of like people who go out on one date and say, oh, shoot, you didn't marry me on the first date. We didn't even have sex on the first date. You ain't no good. Like we ain't having sex yet. We ain't got married yet. Like, what good are you? People like that are stupid. You should never date somebody like that. Well, the same thing is true with investing. When you're talking about investing and building empires brick by brick, building wealth, being a part of something big, just know these things take 5-10 years sometimes. A lot of the people that started with Apple, let me tell you a story about Apple. There was a guy who was with Apple when it first got started, and he waited. I think he was with the company a year and a half, whatever. And he was like, man, this ain't taking off. This isn't going anywhere. So he sold all his whole stake in Apple for maybe a couple $1,000s. I think they calculated his stake today would be worth some ridiculous amount of like $40 billion if he'd held on. So the rewards that are coming to those of you who are invested in things like Bitcoin comes from a basic philosophy that was taught 100 years ago. Warren Buffett read a book called Graham and Dodd. Graham and Dodd was kind of the benchmark educational resource for investing at that time. It's called value investing. And Graham and Dodd basically said something that your grandma could have told you when you were 3, which is buy it and you hold it. Patience is a virtue. Patience and vision. When we talk about building wealth in the Black Business School, one thing that I use a lot of little things we created to educate. But one of the acronyms we use is OPP. OPP stands for not other people's. You know what? OPP for us stands for opportunity, patience, and perspective. Investors, wealth builders tend to be able to spot opportunities when they see them. They have a lot of patience. a lot of patience. Warren Buffett actually said that wealth is the transfer of resources from impatient people to patient people, from people that delay that want instant gratification to the people who are willing to delay gratification. If you want to know my secret to success, there's many things I could throw at you, and actually I'll give you free access to my life class if you'd like that, because I love to talk about things like this. The number one reason that I became a successful black man, and I'm going to go ahead and claim that, because I all the benchmarks, all the check boxes that I had when I was 25, I checked them all. I mean, just, I'll just say that, right? But the number one factor that differentiated me from my friends when I was in my 20s is I always thought long term. I was like, okay, I'm trying to do stuff now so I can be at level 12, a few years from now. I'm willing to make sacrifices today so I can live a life that you can't live tomorrow. I want, so you do the things that other people don't want to do so that later on you can do the things that other people cannot do. That's extremely important for you to understand, for anybody that wants to be successful. If you want power, if you want wealth, whatever you want. I've had all those things. I know what it feels like to be powerful. I've been very powerful my whole life. I don't brag about it, because powerful people don't have to brag about being powerful. You walk softly, you carry a big stick. Humility is necessary, but I know I've got some power. I've made a lot of money. And I, believe me, if you saw my stock portfolio, you'd be pretty impressed. I've had a chance to go around the world. I know what it's like to be free. I know what it's like to stand up to the white man. I know how to do all those things. And it wasn't because I was thinking like a typical Negro. Typical Negro thinking is built for slavery. Just understand this. I know some of y'all that are listening, maybe some of you are listening on my Twitch channel. I actually have a Twitch gaming channel. My handle is Bo Watkin, Bowatkin, or you can go to drboycetwitch.com if you want to follow me on Twitch. Feel free to do that. I play Xbox with my kids, and we talk about investing on the channel. But the thing about it is that, but this is for black folks. Just so you know, if you're not black, you can be here. But I put black people first, and I'm telling you, typical Negro thinking that you're trained to do at an early age, it only prepares you for slavery. That's all it does. The thing I was talking about last week is that they won't pay you reparations for slavery, but your whole life they've been giving you preparations for slavery. They've been preparing you to be a good slave. They prepare you in a lot of subtle ways that you don't even pick up on. The fact that they're educating your kids right there is preparation for slavery. The white community has no vested interest in building black people to become strong and independent and free. Their only interest in educating you is to make sure that you're educated to serve their society and to serve their institutions and their structures. Now, if you're okay with that, that's fine. But just know these are white supremacist structures. So when people talk about white supremacy, you're talking about systematic racism. Well, systematic racism comes from systems and structures and institutions. So the question becomes, why would you train your children to become white supremacists if you claim to be fighting white supremacy? That doesn't make any sense. That's like saying, I want to take care of my health, but I want to look for the least healthy food possible. I want to eat as much poison as possible, but yet I want to be a healthy person. That's an inherent contradiction. It's not your fault, but because they've been giving you preparations for slavery since you were a child. So you got to be really thoughtful about this. Freedom isn't free. Freedom is for grown folks. Freedom is for people that are willing to pay the price for their freedom. If somebody gives you freedom for free, chances are that they're going to give you a cheap free product. So what I mean by it is this: when you talk about public schools, for example, that are free, they will give you that whitewashed education all day for nothing. Right? It's like one of these timeshare companies that says, "Hey, would you like a free vacation?" Anybody ever go to a place where the timeshare guy is like, "Hey, we can give you a free vacation. It's totally free," or companies like, "We'll give you a free product. Just come to the meeting," right? Or MLM types, whatever, right? Like they want to pull you in with something free so that they can get you to do something else, right? So the free education that you're getting is bad education. It's literally like the educational equivalent of salty, fatty, sugary food. And it's also preparing you for slavery. Why is that? Well, because when you go to school, first of all, they teach you everything about European history, nothing about Black history. Most of your kids, they go to public schools, they learn everything about people like George Washington. They learn nothing about people like Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey is one of the greatest Black men in the history of this country, one of the most liberated Black men ever. Why would a Black child grow up without learning about Marcus Garvey? He should be the first person that your child learns about, definitely in the top 5, top 10. right? Dr. Claude Anderson, Powernomics. They're not going to teach your kid Powernomics at school. Why would they ever teach your child Powernomics, right? They're going to teach you white man's economics, right? And then they're going to also tell you that the measure of success is, you know, how much money you make on your job, what kind of important job you have working for some white supremacist institution. So you think, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go to college so I can get a good job. Well, those universities, who's running those universities? Who's getting the revenue? When you go $100,000 in debt to get a college degree, who's getting that money? Is that money going into the Black community? No, that money's going right to the people that you're claiming to be competing against, right? So you're literally handing points to your opponent, thinking that you can still win the game. You can't. I've been playing sports my whole life, and you can't win a game if you're giving points to your opponent. So you're literally giving your wealth. Most of y'all can't. Most of us growing up could not afford to give away $100,000. But think about this: millions of Black people every year, millions of Black people give away $100,000, commit to giving away $100,000 to white supremacist institutions that don't even hire Black people. Process that for a moment, please. Can we please let that sink in for a minute? Right? So then they die in debt. And then because you're dying in debt, because you're stuck in the trap of debt, you right there have been fully prepared for slavery, because the next step that you do after you go and give $100,000 to the big white university is you go work for another white man. And then you're supporting another white supremacist institution, which is some major corporation. And you've been prepared for this because you've been taught that this is something that you should be happy and proud of. Like, this is like, look at me, mom, I'm working at General Electric. Look at me, I'm working at Goldman Sachs, right? Goldman Sachs, right? That ain't no Black name. That's not African. That's not, that's not, they're not descendants of slavery, right? But you are proud of that because you've been prepared for slavery. Preparations for slavery. Keep that in mind. Very important. So instead of preparations for slavery, and instead of just even reparations for slavery, which I think even the reparations are going to come with a lot of baggage attached. So I encourage you to be really thoughtful and careful about that. When you get your reparations check, it's going to be a bunch of BS. It's literally going to be like a glorified welfare check, maybe a little like almost like a little stimulus package. It won't be anything significant in my view. Instead of going for the reparations for slavery and the preparations for slavery, my belief is that we should go for what I call real reparations. Real reparations is where you move forward in your wealth journey with a full understanding that freedom is for grown folks. Freedom is not free. Freedom is for people that are willing to sacrifice for it and pay for it. So what that means is that by basically committing to yourself and to your family that you're going to educate your children to the best of your ability on all forms of economic strength and wealth acquisition, you're preparing them to do well in the next generation. It's almost impossible for me to tell you how to become a millionaire this year. It's almost impossible. If you're not already there, it's impossible. It's really difficult to do. But it's very easy, very simple for me to tell you how to make your child into a millionaire. It is literally as simple as 2 + 2. I swear to God, maybe it's because I have a PhD in this stuff and I've been thinking about wealth equations for many, many years. But take my word for it when I tell you that by doing very basic things that are not complex, that are not things that you have to have a PhD to understand, basic things can put your child on the trajectory to either be millionaire status or to be very close to it, and at the very least have extreme financial security. I'm talking about like 100,000 liquid that they can draw on in case they run into a financial problem. A lot of our economic problems come from it's like health. Think about it like health, right? How many of you have had a relative that has died from something like, stroke, diabetes, some preventable illness, some sort of cancer that came along because they weren't taking care of themselves? Maybe they allowed themselves to get a little bit overweight. Maybe they were drinking a lot or using drugs or whatever, right? How many of you have had relatives, succumb to something like that, right? I know I have. A lot of us have. Well, those illnesses that cause your physical death, many of them could have been prevented by very basic, simple activities, right? Like drinking more water, or not smoking, or moving around, like get up and walk, half a mile every day, or whatever, right? Get on an exercise bike. I got a little. My baby got me a Peloton, and I get on my Peloton in the morning for just 30 minutes. I don't ride fast, but it makes a difference, right? So your economic health is similar. A lot of people die an economic death over simple, almost predictable, basic stuff, like really stupid stuff, to be honest with you. I'm not saying that makes you stupid, because we've all done stupid things. It doesn't mean you're a stupid person. If you were stupid, you wouldn't be sitting here listening to me right now. But the thing that you, I think, want to understand is that not about 80% of your wealth journey can simply occur and succeed for you by you simply avoiding the stupid stuff. That's it. Just say to yourself, okay, I'm gonna quit being stupid. And I'm gonna quit thinking like a typical Negro, because the typical Negro is raised in America to be stupid. They give you preparations for slavery from the time you are born, and because we just no, I guess critical thinking is discouraged. We have an anti-intellectualism culture that is mass promoted through some of the very bad hip hop music that's out there. Some of it's very good. I know a lot of rappers who are so talented and who are so great, from D1 to Killer Mike to, Ice Cube. You've seen Ice Cube come on my platform. I know a lot of great rappers that I think are doing great things for the world, but then I see a lot of stuff that's just very problematic, right? And that's teaching you all the wrong things. So ultimately, what I'm just saying to you is that if you want to be significant and you want to succeed, don't think like don't take that typical Negro training, because all that comes, if you go read books like Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson, he explains how they were very precise. And for hundreds of years, they were extremely precise in saying, we're going to make sure that we inject certain ideas in the minds of young Black children so that they will make good slaves. So I don't want you to be fit for slavery. Got it? Give me a yes in the chat if you follow what I'm saying. Okay. So that's how my cousin became a millionaire off Bitcoin and didn't even know it. It's about planting seeds. You must plant seeds in order to get a harvest. So let me go into some of your questions. I see some of you who are in the Zoom. I'm going to answer these questions first. So thank you for making the questions one sentence. If they're longer than one sentence, I'm going to send it back to you and ask you to resubmit with a one sentence question, just so I can answer as many questions as possible. William Zanders, how do I start a business having poor credit? Businesses don't just need cash, and they don't just need credit. There are different ways to get the money you need to start a business. First of all, you have to realize your number one source of capital might be your free time, your labor, your network, your expertise. Also, when I started my first business, I didn't have good credit. I had a bankruptcy, and all these things, right? And what I actually found was I became much more efficient with money because I couldn't get a loan, because it kept me financially disciplined. Now, eventually, I fixed the credit and all that other stuff, but it was one of those things where, if you want your business to move, you don't need to go and get a bank to loan you a bunch of money to make it happen. A lot of times you can start where you are. Start with your free laborers yourself. Maybe you've got relatives that you can work with who have skill, who are willing to work with you. I made a deal with one of my other cousins. I got a lot of great cousins, I guess. Well, I got a lot of bad ones, but I got some good ones too. And I made a deal with my cousin where I said, if you come and work for me, we can do an IOU system where I'll pay you half of the money that you're worth. Like, we can agree on your pay rate, and I pay you half right away, and the other half we put into an IOU, which is like her extending me credit. She extended me credit by saying, okay, you can pay me back in the future. And because she was my cousin, I didn't have to fill out a credit report, right? She knew I was good for it. Like, we had the same grandma. Like, she's like, I could call grandma on you if you don't pay me. But she'd been knowing me since I was little, so she knew I wasn't going to stiff her. So there are ways around that. Also online, once you start making money, that's the best thing. If you have proof of concept where you have a business that's actually making money, a lot of people won't put money into your idea. I would encourage you to kind of be careful. Like, I would let that go. This belief that you can get a bunch of money for a business because you got a great idea. Ain't nobody gonna give you a whole bunch of money behind some idea that hasn't proven to make money. So the best way to get people to believe in what you're doing is to start building on your own. Put your own butt on the line. There's something called lemon theory in economics that actually basically says that when you put your own butt on the line, it gives you more credibility. It makes people say, okay, so this must be real, because you're not trying to take a chance with my money. You're taking a chance with your money, right? So when people come to me and they say, hey, Dr. Boyce, can you put money or behind my business or promote my business? My first question is, well, how much have you done? How much have you put into it? Because I'm not going to put in all the time and put in all the money and take all the risk so that you can get the reward. I can get a reward on my own already. I'm already good. But if you show me that you've already been doing this and that it's already making money, it's already doing well, then I'm like, oh, so we really got something here. Okay, well, let me just hop on. Let me jump on the team. Nobody wants to jump on a losing team. That's the point. So show that you can have a winning team. And this is my experience. I used to have a hit list of people that I wanted to meet one day. And these were people like scholars that came before me, like Michael Eric Dyson, Cornel West. Back then, I had a different view of people like Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. I still love Louis Farrakhan to death. Al Sharpton, my view is somewhat mixed, but it's fine. And Julianne Malveaux. These were people that I just really liked because I was a scholar, right? And I thought that was really kind of cool what they were doing. And literally, I met every single one of these people. Every single one of these people is my friend. All of them are in my cell phone. Like I can pull up their number and show it to you on my cell phone. And how did I become friends with these people? I did not become friends with any of them by reaching out and saying, "Hey, my name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm a guy who hasn't done anything. Would you like to be my friend?" Not one single person did I speak to or did I connect with in that way. In fact, I never reached out to any of them. I never reached out to not one single one of those people. They all reached out to me once they saw what I was already doing up in Syracuse. When I had put all that blood, sweat, and tears into building something, then they were like, okay, this is the guy I need to know, right? So what you want to do in your business is, in my view, make yourself a woman or a guy that people need to know. Like if you're up here kicking butt and taking names and people know that you know your stuff and that you're in it and you're succeeding even on a small level, smart people will say, oh, I want to connect with that person because they're talented, they're good. Everybody wants to be wired in with talented, hardworking people. If you are a dud and a loser and lazy and you're not committed and you don't follow through and you're not willing to take any chances, ain't nobody gonna rock with you. Seriously, that's just 100%. Like it's like sports. Who wants to play? Like, all those guys went to Tampa Bay to play with Tom Brady because they saw Tom Brady win all those Super Bowls. They don't care. They didn't care that he was white. They didn't care about his politics. They didn't care if he was a good person or a bad person. They were like, we want to rock with that guy because he knows how to win. Everybody wants to link with a winner. So if you want to get more friends, the right friends, become a winner, and then people will gravitate toward you. I guarantee it. Take it from a nerd who wasn't popular at all in high school, but suddenly, I became super handsome once I was able to find some success. All right, so let's see. William Zanders, I have a Coinbase wallet. How do I get my money out? Coinbase is pretty straightforward. I mean, there's a button you hit withdraw. I would check with their technical support, or maybe Google search how to pull your money out of Coinbase. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, I have an app where you just sell it, and then once you sell it, your currency gets converted to dollars, and then you can go and withdraw your dollars, and it's connected to your bank account. So that's how Coinbase tends to work. And Andrea says, how do you buy an option, call, and sell a put? Well, you can do it on Robinhood. If you hit the button at the bottom, you can either buy or sell, or you can trade options. You trade options, you pick the call or the put that you want to buy or sell. And then you just do it that way. And also they allow you to do certain strategies. So if you go to stockoptionsmasterclass.com, I actually break down options. I have an options masterclass. So stockoptionsmasterclass.com. But basically what there are different strategies with options. There's like the butterflies and the iron condors and the spreads and things like that. And it's really fun when you dig into it because options allow you to calibrate your risk in a multitude of ways. And I encourage you, if you get into options, don't just get into it just to go buy options and make a quick flip. I mean, that's fun. Like that's what the Reddit guys do because they kind of see the stock market as a casino. But actually, options are really fun if you want to minimize your risk, if you want to increase your risk, if you want to get an opportunity to have some leverage. I mean, options are beautiful in that way. All right. Next question. Sean R. I bought stocks years ago, but I forgot what it was for. Is there a way that I could locate the share? If you know what app you bought it on, it will probably be listed on that app. If you don't know that, then I don't really know because there's thousands of companies. So if you have to at least remember what company that you bought the stock with. And so I think reaching out directly to the company, if you're registered as a shareholder, they would have that record as well. Yeah, keep up with your stocks that you buy. David Allen, I see your question, but I'd like your questions if they could be one sentence. So maybe resubmit that question in one sentence. That would allow me to answer the question as quick as possible. Jessica Smith, I am new to the stock market. I started an Acorns account about 2 months ago, and I'm confused as to what type of investment account is Acorn. Acorns is for beginners, which is great though. And Acorns is also for people that want to become what David Bach refers to as automatic millionaires. Basically, automatic millionaires are people that don't want to get caught up in the day-to-day drama of the stock market. They don't care about the soap opera. They don't want to necessarily know what their portfolio did that day. They just want to have something automated that's going to allow them to be rich and paid one day. And just like literally like go to sleep, like those space movies where you get inside the little cryo chamber and go to sleep, and then you wake up and you're like on Jupiter. Like they want to do that, right? They just want to, their money. They want their money to grow out of this world, but they want it to grow on autopilot, and they really don't want to check their portfolio more than maybe once a month, once every 3 months, once every 6 months, right? So Robinhood creates portfolios for you in advance. There's a new Goldman Sachs app I saw that I think does a lot of the same thing. Stash does it too, though. And literally Acorns, I could tell Acorns was created by people who knew finance. And I think some Nobel Prize winners were involved in the creation of Acorns, because Acorns literally, the reason I knew they understood finance is because people, the way you can tell people that don't really understand investing that well, at least for me, one of my signals is when they make things super complicated that don't have to be complicated. People that understand this stuff at a high level, they tend to know the things you need to pay attention to, and they can push out the things that you don't need to pay attention to. And then if you want more detail, they can give you more detail. So with Acorns, I became curious about Acorns because literally they asked you literally two of the most important questions that you have to ask in investing: how old are you, and how much risk are you willing to take? That was it. They literally asked two questions that, with those two questions, you know pretty much everything you need to know to go ahead and begin the portfolio and get the person started. It is that simple with the app. And then at that point, they pick a portfolio for you based on your risk preference and based on also what age you are, which is also connected to your risk preference. Older people theoretically are supposed to take less risk, although I challenge that theory a little bit, because even when you're 60 years old, you still have 5 years to retirement. And also, you're probably going to live maybe on average, another 15, 20 years, which is a pretty long horizon. And what's happened, actually, the reason people want older people to take less risk, which makes sense to some extent, but I'm explaining to you why I challenge that a little bit, is because basically your enemy becomes time. That's why you don't waste time. See, people talk about money being the most important asset in the world. No, it's not money, it's time. Time is the driver of everything economic. Literally, you give me, if I had a choice between money and time, I'd take time over money any day of the week, not just for personal reasons, but for literal mathematical economic reasons. So the thing about it is that people that are older, they have less time for their portfolio to grow. They have less time for their portfolio to recover from a setback. So the argument is that older people should take less risk, because if there's a market crash, it may not recover in time for them to get their money out for their retirement. But the reason I challenge that is because a lot of the average bear market only lasts less than 2 years, maybe 14 months. So that means that if the market crashes tomorrow, like it did with the pandemic, you ain't got to wait 8 years for it to recover. Most of the time. I mean, the Great Depression was an extreme case, but most of the time you ain't got to wait 8 years. You wait like 8 months. It's fine again. And then you're glad that you kept buying in the dip, because now you're making more money. How many of you, when the pandemic began, how many of you have been listening to me long enough to know what I was telling you guys when that crash hit? But I told you, I didn't tell you what to do. I didn't tell you what to do. This is not investing advice, but I told you what I was doing. I said, I'm buying this dip. I'm buying everything I can get my hands on, and because my instincts tell me that this too shall pass. And how many of you bought the dip, and now you're rolling in money because you bought the dip? Like literally, you can point to stocks in your portfolio that have quadrupled because you bought the dip. Maybe you've been buying Jamia and you bought the dip in Jamia. Jamia was trading at 10, 15 a share. Now Jamia is at 65, right? And Jamia is just one of probably 100 examples we could talk about, because that literally America was on sale. And those are situations where, when Warren Buffett says that wealth is a transfer from impatient people to patient people, he also could have said that wealth is a transfer of scary people to people that actually have a little bit of courage, like people that have a backbone. So the people who get scared, who are impatient, who can't see past next week, they were running for the hills. They were dumping everything. Oh my God, I got to get out of the stock market. Stock market's going to crash. Oh my God, right? Some of y'all got relatives like that. I mean, I'm sure you got relatives that'll tell you all day about how the economy is going to come to an end and the stock market is going to crash and you shouldn't, whatever, right? People like that, they're unfortunately, they're kind of financially, I'm not going to say financially stupid, because that would be a mean way to describe it. But that is a form of financial stupidity, because what they then do is, because they're so short-sighted, they're going to sell their stuff really, really cheap. They're like the person who would look at a newborn baby. They would look at a baby version of LeBron James at the age of 1, and they'd say, this baby's never going to grow into anything. I'm going to just sell this baby, right? They don't understand that babies grow up. right? So baby stocks grow into big stocks, baby companies grow into big companies. So don't get so caught up in, a lot of investing isn't just about knowing what you know. It's accepting what you don't know and accepting the fact that you don't know everything and that you can't see everything. Every vision is not going to be crystal clear to you when you make that move. Sometimes you got to move literally on faith, right? Like when I'm building a crappy little company where I'm sitting here thinking, how in the hell am I ever going to be able to make this thing move when I literally barely have enough money to even run this company out of my garage? Well, sometimes that's when you got to just buckle down and like keep the faith and keep moving. And because well, Dr. Boyce said, if I just keep churning and keep grinding and keep learning and keep talking to new people, eventually things are going to happen. And 9 times out of 10, that's true, right? So don't sell the baby, right? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. All right, so let me keep going. Rodney, good morning. Can you go over limits and stop limits? Limits and stop limits. Okay, so a limit order is basically when you are trying to sell your stock, but you're basically putting a limit on what you're willing to sell it for, or you're trying to buy and you're putting a limit on how much you're willing to pay. So you can put in limit orders that allow you to protect your portfolio, or protect your buy, or take advantage of an opportunity. So you can put in an order on Robinhood and say, okay, this order is good for today. I'll buy this stock if it drops below $5 a share. So let's say that you're off and you're not even looking at your app and you're off at lunch or whatever, and the stock temporarily drops to $4.65. Well, then Robinhood will go and get that stock for you at that price. So limit orders are a good way to protect your portfolio, stuff like that. If you want to learn more about stuff like that, in case you guys haven't taken advantage of the First Share Stock program, where I send you lots and lots of free information, feel free to go to firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. That's a great place to get started if you haven't done that. And also you get the opportunity, if you want it, only if you want it. You don't have to do this though. You can get everything else for free. You can actually get 90% off our stock market investing mini class. So there's like a little offer I throw at you, but if you don't want it, that's fine. You don't have to take it, but it's there. That's firstshareofstock.com. So feel free to do that. All right. Jessica says, it seems if my portfolio is set at moderately at 39, is this okay? Or should I be moderately conservative? There is no should when it comes to how conservative or aggressive you want to be. That is a personal decision. That's like you asking me, should I wear green or red? It all comes down to what color you like, right? Okay. John says, rise and shine, Dr. Boyce. Well, rise and shine to you too, brother. Emika, does your Black Stock Market program have option plays that we can do along with you? No, the Black Stock Market program focuses on stocks and equity investments. So that's the blackstockmarketprogram.com. If you want to learn options, I do have an options class. Options in itself is a whole city of theories and ideas and concepts. So if you want to learn that, feel free to go to stockoptionsmasterclass.com. That's stockoptionsmasterclass.com. I did a really good masterclass. Everybody liked it. And I know you will too. What's your perspective on ledgers? I don't have a perspective on ledgers, John. If you're talking about like order books, is that what you're referring to? Maybe like when market makers create order books and order flow and things like that. That's what I'm thinking about when you talk about ledgers. I don't know. Maybe you mean something else. So maybe you can clarify the question. Let's see here. C-Dub, much of your teachings about creating generational wealth for existing families. As a 47-year-old single male with no family, how would you suggest investing in the stock market? The same way you would if you had a family. Because the thing about it is that no matter what age you are, what your situation is, wealth is a team sport, and there's hopefully somebody in your family or something that you care about. And maybe if you don't have a physical family, you can find people that you love enough to leave assets to behind. I think of the whole Black community, at least intelligent Black people or Black people that want to be good to each other. I see all of us as a family. So if you look at my own personal life, I've invested in a lot of kids that are not my kids, and I love them just like they're my own. And that my bias comes from the fact that my father did that with me. My biological father was not there, but the man who invested in me was named Larry Watkins. I talked to him this morning, and I love that man for that, right? And he didn't have to do that. And everybody was like, "Oh, well, that ain't your child. Why are you simping, taking care of somebody else's baby?" Well, I got kind of offended. I get offended when I hear that kind of talk because I was that baby. I needed a father. I did, and he gave me one, and I appreciate that, right? And so, my point is to say to you that I think you can build family. If your family is not what you want it to be, it's okay to, I think, find people that you can connect to spiritually, because I think that spirit can be strong as blood. It depends on how you look at it. Some people don't look at it that way, but that's how I look at it. So I got plenty of young people I want to leave my fortune to. It won't just be blood relatives. There are some relatives out here, maybe kids that I've had a chance to mentor and be close to through the years who didn't have a father. I love that role. I love being Uncle Boyce. I love being Daddy Boyce. Some of y'all, I'm like a father figure to you, uncle figure to you. I embrace all of that because I believe that that's what God wants us to do. God wants us to love and support each other and support our community. And if a child is around me and that child needs something, I believe God put that child there for a reason, right? Like God is saying, like, okay, for the next 5 minutes, you got to be a father to that child, right? I may never see the child again, but for the next, that child's hungry. It's your job to get food for that child. I've never been a person that says, "Well, that's somebody else's baby. Why are you taking care of something?" So I just don't get that because to me that comes off as ego, and I'm not a big fan of that. So there we go. So you're 47, you have no kids, no family. That gives you a great opportunity to participate in what I call the Great Black Fatherhood Bailout, where there are millions of Black children in our community that need a dad, or maybe just an OG mentor to look up to. You ain't even got to be a dad, just somebody they can call to get some support, encouragement, advice, guidance, protection, whatever. And I think wealth is a part of that too, because I think I do believe that a man's role partly is to also be a provider for those he cares about. But that's me. That's my philosophy. You don't have to agree, but that's who I am. All right. So let's see. Which course can I join to flip 70K? I just got the Black Wealth Bootcamp. Should I try Black Money 101? Well, okay. So Black Money 101, let me just tell you what it is. BlackMoney101.com. If you want to go take a look at that program, feel free. That's an introduction to the power of money. And I created that program for people that are new to to financial concepts, that just want a direct, down-to-earth way of breaking down how money works, different ways to make money, how to sort of view money, how money is connected to so many things in your life. And there's a ton of content there. So and also I think the first month is free, and if you're not happy, you can get a full refund. So we don't want to ever keep your money if you're not happy. But you can go to blackmoney101.com. It might be a good program to maybe get for your kids or something if you have a teenager or something in the house that you want to introduce to financial concepts to. So let's see, Jessica Smith. I'm interested in starting a portfolio of Vanguard, and I don't know if my portfolio should include stocks and bonds. What do you recommend? I'm not big on bonds. A lot of, I mean, some people get into bonds, but I think stocks just are so outperforming bonds. But and so I'm not really into it. And in fact, you rarely hear me really talk much about bonds. Bond trading, unfortunately, to me, honestly, comes off as a little bit uninteresting. It just doesn't do it for me. I don't see the opportunities being there, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have maybe a little bit of, so if you have a portfolio that says, okay, we're 20% bonds, like you have mutual funds that'll do that, where they'll have a big chunk of your money in stocks, some of your money in bonds. It's okay to look at those funds. Just know bonds are for more people that are more conservative. So you're not going to get the same growth and yield that you would with stocks. Let's see here. So Kevin, I'm going to paraphrase your question. After hours of searching, it feels like financial opportunities are there, but are hidden. Are you talking about in CBD, building a CBD online business? Yeah, I would go study how to start an online business, period, and then also find out what the rules are for doing a CBD online business. The problem with CBD, and the reason I never got into like direct businesses selling CBD products, even though I have them in my house, I put some CBD oil on my knee an hour ago. Like that's how I'm in so I'm such a believer in CBD products. But the reason I haven't gotten into like trying to sell the product is because I'm always worried about federal laws. Like you never want to get, to the point where you violate a federal law. And the problem is that the U.S. government has not provided, enough clarity on doing commerce across state lines with, cannabis related products. Now buying them is not a problem. I mean, they never punish the consumer. They always punish the producer, the seller. So I say be very careful. In fact, I know somebody who just got busted with a bunch of weed and got 3 years in prison. And I was like, I didn't know that they were still putting people in prison for weed. But I guess in the state that he was in, having that much marijuana was illegal, which is the craziest thing in the world to me. So I would say, there is opportunities in cannabis, but a more direct, easier way to get involved is buy stock in some of these cannabis companies. Some of you have been talking to me about Tilray for a while. Now, Tilray was interesting. Tilray, we started buying it and talking about it when it was like maybe $8-10 a share. It shot up over 30 something. Then it just did something crazy, went to 72. which was a pump and dump from the Reddit guys. Now it's down to about 31 or 32. But if you've been buying that stock consistently, you've made a killing. You've made probably more money than you make by trying to start a cannabis business. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying that if you're going to go in the industry, at least get a mentor who knows what they're doing so they can guide you. Your leg, can you buy fractional shares on platforms like E-Trade? No, I think E-Trade requires you to buy full shares. I think fractional shares are available on Acorns and Stash. I don't know, and Cash App. I know Cash App gives you fractional shares. I don't think Robinhood. No, Robinhood doesn't. And so yeah, so there we go. Let's see, Raquel, where can I buy Sia coin? I bought my Sia coin on a platform called Bittrex, Bittrex. And also, I think Sia coin might be for sale on Coinbase, but it may not be. It may not be. If you actually want to see the crypto that I own, you can actually go to drboycecrypto.com. I actually put my crypto portfolio, for public display. If you guys would like to take a look at the crypto that I own, it's drboycecrypto.com. And also, don't forget, if you're into gaming and stuff, I have a gaming channel at drboycetwitch.com. My Twitch handle is the Watkins, BOWATKIN. So we do stuff on there too. Amelda, what's the best way for an older person to invest and make money? Just start doing it. Be consistent. Invest every week. That's how you become an automatic millionaire. Let's see. Michael Watkins, do you use a stop loss on all your stocks? No. I tend to maybe sell call options or maybe buy put options. I don't really dig deep into stop loss orders. I'd rather see my orders executed right away, but that's just a personal preference. Doesn't mean stop loss orders can't be good. It just means it's not something I'm into because I tend to be a holder. I like to buy things and own them. My goal is to accumulate. I gobble up stock. Why would I sell it? What am I going to do with the money? Am I going to go? Only time I'll sell stock is if I'm going to take some money and go buy a house or go buy, or maybe we're going on vacation. We need some cash. Every now and then I might do that, but even then I don't usually do that. So I'm not a big believer in selling. I'm a believer in asset accumulation. When you study rich people that have lots of money, they tend to basically gobble stuff up and they hold it. They buy it and they keep it. That's it. The number one rule of making money is don't give it away, right? So if you look at some of the spending habits of people that struggle financially, well, what are they doing? They're making it rain on everybody. They're giving money away constantly. So it's like, think about it like sports. If you're giving points away, if your defense sucks, if you're the Dallas Cowboys and you're giving away a lot of points, doesn't matter if Dak Prescott is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, he can't score enough points to make up for all the points that the Cowboys were giving away. So if you're giving away more than you're receiving, then that right there means you're failing Finance 101. Finance 101 is keep more than you give away. So when I accumulate assets, I buy them, I own them, I hold them. I love that. And also that creates financial security in case you run into what is called a liquidity problem, which is where you need cash, where you can go back. You got a bunch of apple trees in the backyard now, except except instead of apples on the tree, you got dollars on your money's going on trees, and you can go back and get some money off the money tree and go handle your business, and you're still growing money trees in the backyard, right? So just keep that in mind. Money is fertile. Money is like fertile bunny rabbits. So make sure your money stays fertile. If you make your money infertile, then guess what? Your money will not reproduce. By the way, some of you are asking about the $5 a day investing plan. If you want to see my $5 a day investing plan, literally where I show you mathematically how a person can build far more wealth than the average American in 10 to 15, 20 years by investing $5 a day, you can go to theallblackagenda.com, theallblackagenda.com. That's the URL. Pamela, I was invited to a MindPie crypto project. Currently no cash value. Have you heard of this? I have not heard of MindPie. I would research it and see what the experts are saying. When it comes to crypto, I talk to experts. And so I'm bringing in two guys called the Gentlemen of Crypto, and I'm bringing them onto the Black Financial Channel this week. So if you want to check out that conversation, you can. Also, if you're in the Black Wealth Bootcamp, we're going to do some in-depth crypto stuff in about a week and a half. And also, if you want to join the Black Wealth Bootcamp, which is really good, it's blackwealthbootcamp.com. It's a lifetime membership for your whole family, and you literally are a member for life. So you can literally attend all future boot camps for free, and you can send your relatives or whatever. So it's like being in a club. So if you're interested, go to blackwealthbootcamp.com. Everything's recorded, so even if you've missed some of the classes, you can still get access to everything that we've done already. So feel free to go to blackwealthbootcamp.com. Dennis, what is the least amount of money needed to invest in cryptocurrency? I don't know. I think you could probably buy stuff for like $5 or maybe, they got cryptos that sell for a penny. Let's see, Juanita, how can I purchase Bitcoin? There are a lot of apps out there. I say the easiest is Coinbase, but that's not the most efficient, but it's the easiest in my view. Then you got Bittrex. They got and then so if you're in the chat, feel free to name some other options I didn't mention. Those are the first two that come to mind because those are the two that I use, but there's others out there. Reginald, Dr. Watkins, what platforms do you trade on, and any advice on penny stocks? I bought 5 shares of Tilray, saving up for Disney. Okay, good for you, Reginald. Don't put all your hopes into one stock though. Like, Tilray's done well, right? It's made money, but be careful about putting all your money in one stock. If you do that, you're violating one of the most important rules of investing, which is to spread your money out. Disney is a great company. Maybe you might sell if you're not diversified yet. Maybe you sell a couple shares of what you have so you can buy some of Disney. And maybe if your cash is low, maybe you go to something like whether it's Cash App or I think Acorns and Stash might allow you to. I got to double check, but a place where you can do fractional shares. So maybe do a Google search on which apps can give you fractional shares, and that might allow you to just kind of spread your money out without having to have it all in one place. Or you can also buy mutual funds. Stash and Acorns are really good for creating these funds for you already that are already pre-made. So it gives you natural diversification. That's why I like them. Michelle Arnold says, it makes me think about Michelle, the singer. Is it smart to invest in Bitcoin via Cash App? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's better than not investing at all. By the way, if your questions are super long, I'm going to have to skip them. I'm going to try to get through as many as I can because I got to go in about 5 minutes. Vernon, the Dow Jones Industrial Average turned 20,000 in 2017. Now it's over 31,000. Do you think this might be a correction, and how do you prepare for this? Yeah, there's going to definitely be a correction, Vernon, without a question. Let me just tell you guys this. The stock market will crash. It will crash. It will crash. It will crash. It always crashes. That's like, me telling you the stock market is going to crash is like me telling you that one day you're going to get a cold. You're going to catch a cold. How many of you in here, give me a yes, expect that at some point in your life, you're going to catch a cold? Give me a yes, right? If this is simple question, simple answer. Give me a yes if you know that at some point you're going to catch a cold. You're not going to go through life without ever getting sick, right? It's almost impossible to do. All right. But remember, though, there's a difference between catching a cold. First of all, colds are not a big deal. You get over the cold in 3 or 4 days. Maybe the market catches a cold. Maybe it takes 2 weeks or a month, but the market has always recovered from its colds. But then also there's a difference between catching a cold versus getting pneumonia versus having, I don't know, like, some immune deficiency issue, HIV or something, right? Where you're going to die, right? So the next thing that happens is when you get sick, you diagnose that. You figure out, what are we dealing with here? Are we dealing with a cold? We're dealing with pneumonia? We're dealing with, something that's going to kill us. Well, same thing is true when the market crashes. It's like the experts are like, okay, are we dealing with a correction? Are we dealing with a recession? Are we dealing with a depression? Or are we dealing with some serious issue that jeopardizes the long-term health of the global economy, right? That's that's how you can kind of categorize market downturns. So market downturns are not anything to be afraid of. They're actually opportunities. People that have perspective, remember OPP, opportunities, patience, and perspective. People that have OPP, they love a correction. I love corrections because corrections means all the suckers are going to get scared and start selling me their stuff really cheap. I'm ready to start buying. What you selling, I'm buying. What you selling, I'm buying. Warren Buffett has done that his whole life. That's why Warren Buffett is worth billions of dollars. Who knows? Maybe one day somebody in here will be a billionaire. In fact, I bet you anything that at least 5 of your kids, there's thousands of people watching now. I bet at least 5 of your children are going to become billionaires. So don't mess it up for them. Don't mess it up by being afraid. Just go ahead and do what you got to do. Keep moving forward and plant those seeds, because then your children will take the ball. They're going to run with it further than you. And so they're going to do things in the year 2080 that you're not even thinking about right now because you're focused on 2021. So have long-term perspective. Very important. All right, Adrian, are you familiar with Genesis technology? No, I am not. Sorry, Adrian. I wish I could tell you. There's thousands of things out there, so I don't know anything about Genesis technology. Tracy says, when you join Coinbase, should you put your crypto in an extra security wallet? A lot of experts say you should do that. Honestly, I don't do that, but that's just because I just don't want to. But a lot of my expert friends beat me up and they yell at me because they're like, no, you're taking a chance. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with you, but I just don't. I'm whatever. So it's just a choice. Vernon Oaks, what do you think about VGAC? I wish I knew. I don't know anything about the company. There's thousands of companies, so I don't know them all. Daria Webb, hey, Dr. Watkins, I'm new to investing. I've been doing a lot of stock research. I now feel overwhelmed. I'm not sure what to do. buy first. Look at what the analysts are saying in your Robinhood app. They will tell you, what percentage of analysts are telling you that it's a buy or a hold or a sell. That's a good place to start. Don't overthink it. That's a big mistake a lot of people make when investing. Is they overthink it. They think you got to go through 1,000 research reports and know every single ratio and analyze the price earnings ratio. Let me just tell you the honest to God truth between me and y'all. I think that's a waste of time if you're not an expert and not an analyst. I know how to do all of that. I have taught college students this stuff for 27 years, 28 years now. And I can do all these things. I've taught these things in class. I don't even do these things. I don't go through a company's financial reports in extreme detail and try to figure out what the true market valuation is. You know why I don't do that? Because you have analysts that are already doing that for you. They've already gone through all the detailed paperwork. And because there are thousands of companies out there, there is no way I can know more about Tesla stock than a Tesla analyst is going to already know. And why would I invest all my time analyzing Tesla stock when there are thousands of other stocks out there? Right. So in a way, maybe think of it like, I don't know, dating. Like you meet a pretty girl, and you want to know basic things about whether or not she'd be a good person for you to date. And you don't have to spend, you're not her dad, or you're not his mama. So his mama is invested in him. His mama spent 25 years making him into who he is, right? His mama spent 25 years feeding him, bathing him, talking to him every day, etc. That probably took about 100,000 hours to do. You're not his mama. You might be able to size him up in about an hour, right? So you don't have to spend 20,000 hours or whatever the number is, 100,000 hours to get to know this guy. You can get to know him, with a few conversations, right? So the same thing is true with your stocks. Because remember, because the reason you don't want to do that is because there are other guys out there. If he's a dud, then you want to move on and meet somebody. You want to meet your Prince Charming. You're not trying to spend 200,000 hours studying a bad investment, right? So with stocks, it's the same way. There's a million fish in the sea that you can invest in. The analysts are the parents of those stocks. They've already spent all the time, the thousands of hours necessary to break down the stock. So then what you do is you go to the analyst and you say, okay, what do you think? Right? And you don't listen to one analyst, you listen to them all. And then whatever the analysts are all saying, that tells you that there's probably something good about this company. So when a bunch of analysts come out, pay attention. Stock prices move based on a couple of things, or actually really one thing. Information. Information is everything. Information is everything. Time is very important. Information is important too. So information, which changes expectations, and expectations are compared to realizations. When you hear a stock price move, it's typically moving because more information came out. Maybe an analyst said, oh, we just realized Disney is actually going to be worth more, or we've given a buy rating on Disney. Well, when they give a buy rating on Disney's price goes up because people are like, oh, well, the analysts who know the stock's mama or the stock's parent that studied this company is saying that this company's worth more than what we thought. So they all flock and buy it. The price goes up because everybody pays attention to the analysts. So long story short, don't overthink it. That's the key. Overthinking it and becoming afraid because you don't feel like you know everything is the number one thing that causes people to stay broke, because they get in paralysis of analysis and you're scared to move. Dive in, move forward. Biggest mistake you can make in investing is to not invest at all. Okay. So I got to run. It was great talking to you guys. I hope that you gained something from this conversation. Let me give you a URL. If you want to check out the Black Wealth Bootcamp, go to blackwealthbootcamp.com. That's blackwealthbootcamp.com. Also, if you haven't bought your first share of stock, or if you want to just get free information from the Black Business School, you should get on our email list. And also, there's a free training as well at firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. So those are two URLs I'll leave you with. I hope that this was helpful. Have a good day. I got to run to a meeting, and it was great talking to you guys.